My guest is Nicholas Zumbro, and he's a native of Murfreesboro and back to spend the Christmas holidays and New Year's with your mother.
Yes.
And with friends in Murfreesboro, and to play a concert at MTSU in the music hall at Wright Music Building next Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday. Thank you.
Sunday afternoon at 3
Maybe we ought to start over. Well, that's wonderful, and I've already heard people talking about it. I've told some people, and I got a call, as a matter of fact, last Sunday afternoon because the person wasn't sure which Sunday it was, and she was gathering together a group to come. So,
well, it's this coming Sunday, the 13th at 3 p.m.
People are excited about it.
Well, I'm glad. I hope they'll come.
What are you going to do?
To play? Well, I'm going to play some Chopin and some Liszt. I'm going to play the Liszt pieces that I recorded for Musical Heritage a couple of years ago. And I'm going to play some pieces, some Spanish pieces by Granados and some pieces by Claude Debussy.
On the Bosendorfer.
On the marvelous Bosendorfer they've got over there.
You have been rehearsing this week, I understand.
That's right. You have to practice.
Oh, I know you do. Have to keep those fingers limber doing what you want them to do. What instrument do you usually play? What kind of piano do you usually play?
Well, I have played Baldwin a lot, and when I lived in New York for a long time, I played Steinway. Bösendorfer is a great instrument, though. If it's kept, anything is great if it's kept in shape. The problem we've got in the country now is that it's hard to find a piano that's really in top shape.
What keeps a piano in top shape?
The technician.
How frequently does it have to be tuned?
Depends on how much it's used.
Does it?
Yes, in the process of playing a concert, it will go out of tune. Because the hammers keep hitting the strings, you know, and stretching them, and they don't go back into perfect tune. So most pianos are out of tune after a heavy concert.
So the piano will be tuned just before your concert.
I hope so.
After all this work you've given it this week, especially.
Well, yes, and some other people have been playing on it too, so it's way out on the upper end. Can the untrained ear cannot tell that much difference? How much difference is there? Well, to me, it's an enormous difference, and I would think that most people with any sort of musical ear would hear the piano, as it goes out of tune, it starts sounding sour. And if you're a pianist and you practice on the piano that's out of tune, it's depressing mentally. It makes you feel down because it's so, you know, unpleasant. But not everyone hears it equally, not even some musicians. Some musicians are not terribly bothered by pianos which are out of tune. Some older musicians I've known, even good musicians, it's amazing. But the thing is that the more out of tune it is, the less and less and less it sounds like a wonderful piano. You can have a wonderful piano, if it's completely out of tune, it sounds awful.
Yes.
It sounds like it costs 10 cents.
Which we know is not true.
I think the Bösendorfer must have cost a very great deal of money, and I'm going to try to find out how they got it so I can get me one.
Well, they got it. I can tell you a little bit about it. It was partly through some efforts of the MTSU Foundation.
I see. Well, that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing that they've done.
Yeah.
You know, I go around playing a lot of places, Mexico and various places in the U.S. and Europe, and you'd be amazed at how few places have a piano of this quality these days.
Some concert pianists take their piano with them, I understand. But
very few. Now, Mr. Rubinstein did, or at least he had one he used on the West Coast and one he used on the East Coast. And Horowitz would take a piano with him. But it's just not economically feasible.
I would think not.
For most pianists to take a piano with them. Now, if you were playing a country music concert, it might be feasible.
Well, they would take electric pianos most likely.
Yeah, isn't that ironic? But that's very interesting. I saw a country music star the other day advertising Bösendorfer. It's a great
piano. Really?
Oh, yeah, it's a great piano. Everybody loves it.
Well, that's we were excited when it came here.
You know, it has extra notes on the bottom. It doesn't stop where an ordinary piano stops. It goes on down. This one goes on down 9 notes, and I understand there's a model you can get in Vienna that goes on down another 8 or 9 notes. So it has tremendously low notes that sound sort of like an organ in the bottom. Just incredible sound.
Well, what do you do with those notes? Because does any
Well, I
music
put them
have
in,
those?
of course. You don't think I'm
You
going to
just
waste
do
them?
an octave lower. Is that what you do?
There are lots of places where the composer runs out of notes. As for instance, Franz Liszt loves very low, deep sounds. But he'll have a line going down scale-wise, note by note, and he'll come to a place where there aren't any more notes. So he'll have to jump up an octave.
I see.
Well, on this piano, you can just
You don't
keep
have
going
to.
on down, if you're sure that's what he wanted. And it's a very unusual sound, you'll see, if you come. Yes, well, I was very interested in sounds. I improvised all sorts of crazy sounds. As a matter of fact, if you've ever heard any of Charles Ives' music, it sounded something like that. So naturally, my uncle didn't like to be waked up on Sunday morning with that sound.
And you have done some Charles Ives music and gotten extremely wonderful reviews, I've noticed.
That's one of the things I did in Europe. But of course, I've done an awful lot of romantic music, Liszt, and the recording with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London is the Liszt Concerto.
We taped this morning, as you very well know, some of your rehearsal time over on the Bosendorfer in the music hall. And I'd love to talk with you some more, but I think it would be an injustice to our viewers to not give them a taste of the music. So I want to thank you now very much for coming, and we'll go with you right now by way of videotape to the music hall, to the rehearsal.
Thank you. I've enjoyed talking with you, and I appreciate your having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, and we'll see you on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
I hope you'll come.
Okay. Here's the rehearsal.